Highguard has officially been out for 24 hours now, and it's actually going great. Like I'm shocked. The player count has shot up since then. Players are talking about like how they were wrong at first, that this game's actually great. It's looking like the next big thing. So we all owe Geoff Keighley a giant apology. And obviously I'm joking. This is the complete opposite of what's actually happening. The game's getting worse. The player retention is getting worse. The game's not getting worse, excuse me. The game is as bad as it was yesterday, but the player retention is getting worse. Geoff Keighley wanted us to apologize to him. That's not happening. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Everyone's laughing at dude. And then to top it all off, we've got corporate press gaming journalists shilling for Highguard and getting upset at all of us, getting upset at gamers for criticizing Highguard and not blindly praising it. So yeah, this is going to be a fun video for me to make. Let's get started by taking a look at Steamdb, getting a quick update on the current player count. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is horrible. Yesterday it was already looking bad, as mentioned. 97k peak, and within hours it dropped to like 55k, then 45k, and progressively less as the day went on. There was no like boost for people getting off work or out of school. No boost for that. And now, as I record this, it's down to 17,000. Granted, it is the next morning. People are once again at work and school, etc., etc., but that is just such a steep fall off. If this thing keeps trending down this hard, it's looking like it might not even get a dead cat bounce, but we'll have to keep seeing how this develops. Not a good outlook, though, to say the least. And if you saw my video yesterday compiling a number of the most viewed streamers yesterday that were playing Highguard and their opinions on the game, which were largely negative, some a bit more neutral, but none positive, really. A lot of those streamers from yesterday have already given up on Highguard and gone back to Marvel Rivals. So that's also pretty funny. A lot of streamers have dropped this game within 24 hours. Not even the ones that I included in my video yesterday, but just a lot overall. And I'll quickly mention that like watching Highguard yesterday, it actually made me appreciate Rivals even more. And I understand they're two completely different games, and that Highguard's not trying to copy Rivals, and as many people pointed out, Highguard is essentially an amalgamation of multiple different games. But it just seems devoid of passion. It's just so generic, so mid, and in some aspects just bad, that it seems like it's a game that just exists to exist, and they hope to make money off it. And of course they want to make money, but you compare that to Rivals, which of course NetEase also wants to make money, and they've made a lot of it. But you can tell that the devs are passionate in Rivals. Everything from the kits of the characters they make, to the characters they pick to roll out, to the costumes, the skins, the silly little dialogue, and even the UI elements and the maps that they pick, everything about Rivals, really. You can tell that the devs are passionate about it. They are having fun making it, and they're doing their best to give the players an engaging and fun experience. And it was just a very stark difference watching Highguard yesterday compared to Rivals. And yes, I'm biased, I enjoy Rivals, but I took like 4 to 5 months off from Rivals, actually. I've only recently, over the last month or so, been getting back into it, so it's fresh in my mind, and the difference I noticed was very stark. By the way, some people asked, like, why are you not using Highguard gameplay for Highguard videos? And it's like, you know, it's a fair criticism, but at the same time, we're talking about how boring this game is to watch. So, you know, that's one factor. Like, I'm not going to include a bunch of boring gameplay. And two, I'm not going to play Highguard. I'm not going to download it. I'm not going to install it. I'm not going to play it. And so I don't have my own gameplay to use anyways. And I'm not ever going to get my own gameplay for this game. So, you know, it is what it is. I really want to laugh at Geoff Keighley with you guys, as mentioned in the intro, but I think the first thing I need to do is to actually show you this. As funny as the Geoff Keighley thing is, and that's like top tier hilariousness in this situation, I think this might actually be even more hilarious. I don't know. It's freaking close. It's close. But let's start with this. And you'll see why I'm so amused by this in a second, all right? It's not even just this title. You'll see. It's all going to come together in a second. So, PC Gamer says, Highguard is fine when you don't have an internet in your ear telling you it's nasty. And the journalist who wrote this article, shilling for Highguard, is Morgan Park, who has worked at disgraced outlets like Polygon and Kotaku. You're probably familiar with both of those. These are two of the most disgraced and least respected, most notorious outlets in gaming journalism. And I say gaming loosely. You know, these people are not gamers. They hate gamers, actually, which is part of the reason why Morgan Park in this article is saying like, oh, it's fine if you don't have the internet telling you it's bad, because these people want to control the news cycles. These corporate journalists want to tell you how to feel and think about things, including gaming. And so when you have individual gamers leaving their individual reviews on Steam, etc., and people making YouTube videos, you know, we're all doing our own thing essentially. They get mad that they don't control the narrative, especially when they're trying to make money off stuff like this as well. You know, they want people to pay them to write articles about their games, to shill for them. And when people don't care what these corporate press journalists have to say, they're both losing power that they desperately crave and also losing money. Here's the real funny part, though. This is what I really want to show you guys. So Morgan Park, back in 2024, same journalist that's trying to shill for Highguard right now, well, you can see on screen, man. This is real. In 2024, Morgan Park wrote an article titled, "Uh-oh, I played 7 hours of Concord this weekend and immediately want back in. Look at this cringe." Morgan Park says, My eyes were wide and WASD fingers nimble." Wow, who comes up with that? "As I booted up Concord's closed beta this weekend, I've had my eye on Sony's new hero shooter since its big reveal last month. While a vocal contingent quickly decided that Concord is an Overwatch clone wearing Guardians of the Galaxy cosplay, those brief glimpses of gameplay got me excited for what looked like a crisp, arcadey FPS from ex-Destiny folks. And hey, I wasn't disappointed. Concord is very fun so far. I played 7 hours of the beta and was impressed by developer Firewalk Studios' strong SPF fundamentals. We've seen enough. You get the point. This is a Concord shill, now shilling for Highguard. You especially gotta love how Morgan tried to say that the critics of Concord were a vocal contingent, aka saying it's like a small group. Oh yeah, the critics, that's just a small group. Don't worry guys, Concord's fine. Just ignore the critics. This game's going to be a massive success. What happens on release? It has like a sub 700 player count and gets shut down in like 2 weeks. The slop from this Morgan Park journalist doesn't even end there either. Look at this really quick. "I played 6 hours of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and folks, I think this one was worth the wait." Oh yeah, that worked out really well for Ubisoft, didn't it, Morgan Park? And so yeah, once again, that takes us here, and we're about to move on from this part of the video. But in conclusion for this PC gamer stuff, Highguard is fine when you don't have an internet in your ear telling you it's nasty. Yeah, guys, don't listen to the internet. Just listen to PC gamer and corporate journos like this. You know, that's all you really need to listen to. Just buy the slop and don't question anything. And then this morning you have Dexerto saying Highguard has been review bombed after release. Oh yeah, because you know, people can't genuinely dislike this game. It's certainly just being review bombed. Right. Dexerto adds on to that saying, of the more than 9,000 hasty reviews, a whopping 7,200 of them have a negative slant. Naturally, the vast majority of these reviews barely have an hour of total game time. Well, hey, Dexerto, you're so confident giving the numbers before that, right? 9,000 hasty reviews, 7,200 have a negative slant. But it's convenient that they don't mention how many of these reviews actually have barely an hour of total game time. My point is, like, of course, they're not going to go through thousands of reviews and add up which ones have less than an hour, but it does seem like they're making an assumption here they're presenting as fact. But you know what? For argument's sake, I'll say, sure, Dexerto, let's go with that. Let's say, hypothetically, that's true, and that the vast majority of the negative reviews barely have an hour of total game time. Well, guess what? That doesn't make them invalid. People are allowed to try this free game out, play a match or two, and decide that they don't like this game, and to then leave a negative review. That is not review bombing. That is quite literally people trying it out and deciding it's not for them. And again, that's valid. The Western gaming industry, from some of these devs to these suits, these executives, to gaming journalists, they have become so entitled. They act like we owe them our time. Oh, you only played for an hour? Well, you can't leave a negative review then. Would they be complaining if it was positive? Would they say the same thing? Oh, you only played an hour, but you rated us positive? That can't be the case. No, they never say that, right? They just want to try to invalidate the negative reviews. And if they really want people to play longer before they leave a negative review, guess what? Wild Heart Entertainment, the studio that made Highguard, they should have made a more fun game. Like, you can't shovel slop on the people, boring slop on the people, and then get mad that they don't want to spend their time, their limited time when they're off work or out of school or whatever, playing this stuff. You know, people tried it out. Be grateful for that. Be grateful that so many people even gave this game a chance. The player count was pretty good to start. It was almost 100K. But it's not the gamer's fault that the game was actually boring and that people dropped it so quickly. Don't blame us for that. We didn't make the game. And then there's the outlet Aftermath, where the journalists on this outlet, at this outlet rather, brag about how most of them came from Kotaku, where they broke news, covered events, and brought you hard-hitting investigations. Also having been seen over at Motherboard by Vice, The Verge, and The Washington Post. Wow, yeah, these are outlets known for being genuine gaming outlets indeed. I say that with 100% sarcasm. And so, once again, they say that Highguard is a symptom and victim of a rapidly decaying internet. Well, there certainly are issues with the internet. It's not perfect, and a lot of these issues are proliferating, and so we see things like dead internet theory becoming more commonplace. But that's not the issue with Highguard. The issue with Highguard, as mentioned just a moment ago, can simply be boiled down to that the gameplay is not compelling. So, these sort of people, they'll try to look for anything to deflect from the actual problem. They never want to take accountability. No, they just want to shill, and they expect all of us to eat the slop unquestionably, as previously mentioned. But now let's go to one of the head guys, corporate journalist and creator of the Game Awards, Geoff Keighley. And 25 minutes after Highguard launched yesterday, he posted with the eye emoji. Oh wow, look at this. Polygon, yeah, great outlet. Polygon says Highguard isn't DOA. In fact, after 4 hours, I'm convinced it's one of the best new shooters in years. Why are they all shilling so hard for this game, bro? Highguard could be the start of an exhilarating new FPS subgenre. Right. But it gets even better. So let's kind of rewind and take this from the top. Back in December of 2025, as you probably know, the Game Awards occurred, Geoff Keighley being the creator, host, etc., etc. And the last game announced at the Game Awards was for Highguard, which Geoff Keighley was very much trying to hype up.
Sometimes our last reveal at the Game Awards is a teaser for something years and years away. But not tonight. Our final world premiere comes from 61 members of the team that built Apex Legends and Titanfall. 4 years ago, the principals founded a new independent studio with the hopes of pushing the shooter genre forward with a new original game. They've done it in complete secrecy, which is even more amazing because the game is very deep into development. The power of independent, self-published studios to push this medium forward is a growing and I think positive theme in our industry. And so tonight, you're not only going to get the announcement of the game, but also your first look at the gameplay. I've played it, and after you see this trailer, I think you're going to want to as well. Welcome to Highguard.
We're not going to watch the whole trailer. We've seen enough Highguard gameplay and all that now. This was simply the beginning of Geoff Keighley's failed attempts at hyping this game up. And so here's the progression. January 23rd. Then he says, he makes a tweet with an image that says, Highguard, January 26th at 10 a.m. PST. Then, January 24th in the morning, Geoff Keighley says, I first went hands-on last summer and had so much fun. Now it's your turn on Monday. Curious what everyone thinks. Showing his Highguard pass. And a few hours later, on January 24th, then he made this infamous tweet saying, in 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apologies. This did not go well. And then on January 25th, he says, see you tomorrow, clearly still trying to hype up Highguard. And then on January 26th, 9:58 a.m., 2 minutes before Highguard officially launched, he posts the Dark Knight Joker saying, and here we go. About 7 minutes after making that tweet, now at 10:05 a.m. on January 26th, he says, Highguard is now live for free on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. Here's the launch trailer. I'll take this opportunity once again to laugh at how the official Highguard launch showcase on their official account was posted yesterday with the comments instantly turned off. Prepare your defenses. Yeah, they really lived up to that, didn't they? And that takes us to 23 hours ago. A few hours after Highguard's official release, and Geoff Keighley says, thoughts on Highguard so far? And the responses are just obliterating this guy. We'll read some of them. For example, this one says, I was really rocking with you, Geoff, but you just lied to us that this game was good in any capacity. I don't owe you an apology. You owe us all, as a gaming community, an apology for this double down of false promise. Similarly, this one at the top saying, I want you to apologize to everyone for premiering this trash. Another one saying, gonna be honest, Geoff, it's kinda everything wrong with AAA right now. Soulless UE5 mess, mediocre gameplay, and a bunch of mechanics from other games without consideration of why they worked in the first place. Game only and out of touch shareholder or $1 million award show host could love. and they jump in my dog in the comments. This dude says that he's disabled, and this was the first time in his life that he was able to get up simply to turn this game off. As we near the end of the video, we'll get a quick update on the Steamdb chart. We're now at 19,011 players. Hey, it went up a whole 1,000 or so since the beginning. And that's really it for the update. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the state of Highguard, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.